On today's show, the LA Clippers made it 13 out of their last 15 games with a win, and it wasn't pretty against the Washington Wizards. But I'm going to tell you what it showed about the way this Clipper team is playing right now. Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, been a Clipper fan for 21 years, been covering the team on my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for 6, and 4 right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to get us up to 9,000 subscribers before the end of the season. And of course, you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. This episode is not brought to you by anything, so let's talk about this win. The Clippers getting the W 110-106 in DC, our 6th win in a row, our 13th win in the last 15. I'm going to be talking about how we just found ways to get it done, the incredible stretch of form from Jordan Miller, and an update on Kawhi Leonard. So let's begin with something that stuck out to me after we won this game. A game against a team that we are favored against. However, no Kawhi Leonard and obviously still no Derrick Jones Jr. But we did get John Collins back from that little 2-game absence with the sore groin. And here's what I'll say. When we were 6-21 and we were losing games left and right, even to teams that we were favored against, teams that were missing their star players, when we had Kawhi Leonard and James Harden in the lineup healthy, although some of those games with Kawhi on a minutes restriction were hard for us to get the full version of these guys. But we were finding ways to lose games. And they always say good teams find a way to win, bad teams find a way to lose. We are now finding ways to win. And earlier in the season, we were finding ways to lose. And I think there's a lot of reasons for it. You know, we definitely would have to do an episode breaking all of it down in depth, but I think the first thing is shooting variance. We were not shooting very well to start the season, and other teams were just having absolute heaters against us. This game is a poor example of that point, but the shooting has really gone back in our favor. And a lot of it, if you want to look at an individual player that has made a change, it's John Collins. You know, his percentage in the beginning of the season was like 27%. He's been shooting absolutely crazy from 3 right before he had that 2-game absence. He was, I believe, 1 for 3 from deep in this game. Yeah. But before this game, he's been an absolute lightning rod from 3 in this recent stretch. And then Kawhi Leonard has really increased his 3-point volume, and he's always been a very accurate 3-point shooter since he's been a Clipper. So that hasn't contributed as well. So shooting variance, that's one thing. Secondly, the injection of youth. You know, the Kobe Sanders, the Jordan Millers of the world, who we'll talk about more in this episode. And then when Zoo was out, Yannick Conan Niederhauser. These guys have all come in and made some sort of impact in several games to help us win, and have given us a little bit of that ability to attack closeouts, to get out in transition, to be a little better defensively than the likes of Bogey, Chris Paul, or Bradley Beal that we saw in the first 10 games. And then the biggest thing for me is just the belief and the effort level on defense for 4 quarters. You know, it does help to set up your defense when you make shots. But in the second half of games, we were just losing everything. Like everything that we did well in the first half, we just couldn't do that in the second half anymore. We would run out of legs. It just looked like we were too old and slow to get wins in the NBA anymore. And all of a sudden and it starts with Harden and Kawhi, no one else. Because everyone else, no one has really flipped a switch besides, as I mentioned, Collins with his 3-point shooting. You can argue Kris Dunn has been more sound defensively during this stretch than he did in the beginning of the season. And the reason I say sound defensively is because he was constantly gambling, doubling unnecessarily, leaving his man wide open 1 pass away, doing things of that nature, picking up cheap fouls when he had gotten beat. Now he's been more sound defensively, and you can see what that does for us. And then Kawhi Leonard, for real, Kawhi Leonard being off that minutes restriction and going off like that, 55 points and 23 straight games of 20 plus or 22, I forget what it is. I mean, that can change the ceiling of your team when your best player is playing like a top 10 player in the NBA. And then I'd say them, Kawhi and James in the second half have just had more legs. Now in this game, and Toronto, look at the Toronto game as an example for James. He wasn't really doing that as much in the beginning of the season. And I'm not saying he wasn't having good games, but it's when he had his good stretch. He would be really good in the first half, then he would kind of fall off in the second. And it was partially because he wasn't getting enough assistance, so he had to carry a bigger load than he ever expected to carry. But in this game, it was James Harden again. He was the only guy who scored over 16 points for us. He got to the line an outrageous amount. Of course, I always wonder, on some of the calls, although most of them were fouls, but some of the calls, I'm like, how does he get these calls? But the Wizards players, and this is something that you can see consistently with James, when he has younger guys on him, he always finds a way to get them to foul because he knows how to, like James is a seasoned vet. He's the best foul baiter, in my opinion, in the history of the game. He just knows how to trick younger players into using their hands, and then he exposes you using your hands. In this game, or closing out too hard, in this game, he had 36 points to go along with 7 boards, 9 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and 3 turnovers. He was 9 for 17 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3, 9 for 12 from 2. So really solid in the mid-range, really solid getting downhill. And that's one thing I loved about James in this game is how much he was getting downhill. By the way, he has now scored 30-plus points in 3 of the last 4 games. All of those have been wins. But he shot 18 for 20 from the free throw line. Almost half. He had, half, of his 36 points came at the free throw line. As a team, we shot 33 for 38 from the foul line. They shot 19 for 22. So we got to the line 16 more times than them. And that's all starts with James Harden. It all does. From the field, we shot 46%. They shot 43%. They shot 37% from 3. And listen to this. We shot 18% from 3. 5 for 28. Our bench collectively was 1 for 13 from deep, with the only make coming from Nico. Let me just say this. Us shooting 18% from 3 in a game, no matter who we were playing against, early in the season would have lost us a game. But we're finding ways to get it done. We're finding ways to win games, even when we look a little bit lazy and look like we underestimated our opponent. And I'm not saying that's a good habit and that's something that we can get away with. But in this game, we didn't come out with great intensity. We didn't do a good enough job running back in transition. We didn't do a good enough job communicating in transition. A lot of guys were getting beat off the dribble and beat on closeouts a lot easier than you would expect. And I get it. Washington's a younger, faster, more athletic team than us, but there was still, and I didn't see anyone in particular that was so bad that I wanted to call out, but everyone just wasn't great defensively for us. And then in the fourth quarter, they started cooling down a bit, but we were able to get some stops, partially Jordan Miller, Kris Dunn, with very active hands. And this game was tied, at the end, towards the end. I believe 103 to 103. Jordan Miller gets fouled. 106 to 106. James Harden then got downhill and got fouled, made 2 free throws. Then he got 2 more free throws and missed them. And then we got an offensive rebound and then sealed the game at the line. Those final free throws were made by James Harden again. So huge. And he's the one that got the rebound too. So 110 to 106 is the final. We've now won 13 out of our last 15 games. We're 19 and 23 on the season. We will take it. Let the good times roll. But coming up, going to be talking about the performance of Jordan Miller and some of the younger players, but how he's been playing lately, oh my God, makes me very happy. I got to tell you a little something about Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, which is part of why Quo makes everything simple and how Quo makes everything simple. And it makes replies faster and more personal. It's no surprise Quo is the number one rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free plus 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba. That's quo.com/lockedonnba. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. All right. So the Clippers winning 110 to 106. But before we continue to talk about that, I got to tell you about the Everydayer Club. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the number one sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. It gives you access to an ad-free version of Locked On Clips compatible with Apple Podcasts and Spotify and every other major podcast app. And it also gives you an invite to the members-only Locked On Clippers Discord, which I'm going to show you right now for those watching on YouTube, is right here. But look, all I've said is hello. Nobody has said anything in response. Where's everybody at? It means you guys aren't signing up for the Everydayer Club. Let's talk. Let's have the fans or listeners of Locked On Clips talk about the team together. And how do you do that? Just go to lockedonclippers.supercast.com. All right, so the Clippers winning 110 to 106 in a game that they really did not play well in. We did get John Collins back, which was nice. And as far as matchups, we had Zoo on Alex Sarr, John Collins on Keyshawn George, who I'm a fan of, James Harden on Chris Middleton, Kris Dunn on Trey Johnson, and Kobe Sanders on Bub Carrington to start the game. No Bilal Coulibaly in this one, and of course, still no Trey Young. As far as defensive coverages, we had Zoo in drop coverage, and Lopez was doing some drop, but also hedging a little bit. So we've been seeing more mixing it up from our coaching staff in terms of not just being an exclusive drop coverage team. As far as what they were doing, they had Carrington on James Harden. He was getting cooked. Sarr on Zoo and Trey Johnson on Kris Dunn. Sarr and Bagley were hedging on all the ball screens with James Harden. So they were trying to get the ball out of his hands. I think James did a pretty good job making those reads. Obviously, with Kris Dunn, they were dropping because they invite him to shoot. But let me just say this before I get to Jordan Miller. Alex Sarr really impressed me. You know, everybody, the NBA community was a little bit disappointed with his rookie year. But in this game, he showed me a lot of the repertoire that we thought we were getting when he was projected to be the number one pick in 2024. Showing that face-up game at a guy his size, you know, with his handle could rip through. He was getting deep position in transition, rim running super hard. You saw him be in the dunker spot, finishing around the basket and hitting a pick and pop three. Like, he looked really good. He looked really solid. He was outplaying Zoo. So I was impressed. But Zoo was scoring early too. It wasn't like Alex Sarr just because he had 12 points in the first quarter that Ivica Zubac wasn't scoring. Zoo had 8 points early, all around the basket, had a nice little running jump hook with his left hand. And then, of course, as I said, James Harden got us to the line very early. 9 free throw attempts in the first quarter and had 11 points in the first. We were tied 26 to 26 after one. And in the second quarter, though, we started making a push with the younger guys in the game. We went on a 9-1 run to make it 42-37. John Collins had his best stretch of the game where he had 2 buckets on a fast break and then had a little jump hook as well. But we just could not rebound. And that's been a thing that's been consistent from us this season, is that we just struggle to rebound. And it comes down to boxing out and showing effort. Showing effort, truly. We are not playing hard enough on the glass. We haven't been all season. And it's a problem, and it's going to come back to bite us. This game, the Wizards had 15 offensive boards to our 12, and they out-rebounded us in a game in which we won. So, something to note. But Another reason we couldn't create separation is because we couldn't hit a damn three, as I mentioned earlier. James Harden had 18 points in the first half, but the role players were not hitting open threes, including Brook Lopez, who was 0 for 5 from downtown. And this guy, because everybody wanted to make that spacing argument, he's shooting 36% from downtown this season. Actually, no, he's shooting 33% from downtown this season, which would be his lowest since 2020. He's not shooting well from three at all. So this idea that his spacing is giving Harden and Kawhi so much help. No, it's not. Teams invite him to shoot. So if anything, you can make the argument he's done good in other aspects. For example, in this game, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 4 steals, and a block. So Brook Lopez getting 4 steals, that's big time. But yeah, he was 2 for 2 from the field 2 for 2 from 2 and 0 for 5 from 3. So he was 2 for 7 overall and made both his free throws in 20 minutes. But in the second quarter, we outscored the Wizards by 1, 28-27. Up by 1 at the half. All I'm thinking is, can we make some shots and lock in a little bit on defense? And we came out lazy on D again. They went up by 10 points, 70-60. So there was a little bit of comeback clips in this one. They went on an 11-2 run, partially because we weren't hitting shots and our transition communication was horrible. We often saw 2 guys going to 1 player in transition, leaving someone just wide open, and then they look around at each other confused. It's not good enough. But James Harden, he restored order. 6 straight paint points in that stretch to propel us to a 10-0 run to regain the lead. And in that 10-0 run, James contributed to all 10 of those points. 8 of them scored, 1 assist. And then they started just double teaming him hard double teaming wherever he was on the floor in the front court. But we got outscored 28-25 in the third, going into the fourth, down by 2. And guess who makes some big plays to get us kick-started? Jordan Miller. 2 straight fast break buckets to give us an 87-85 lead. Got to the foul line late and just continues to be a guy that gets us in double figures, gets double-figure points, and gets downhill, gets 2 feet in the paint. He's averaging 15 points a game in this 6-game winning streak. Every single game, he has scored 9 points or more. And we have won all said games. Jordan Miller is having the best stretch of his career right now, and I could not be more happy for him. He has been huge without Derrick Jones Jr., and the unfortunate part about him is he's on a 2-way contract. So you can only play 50 games. He has 29 more games of eligibility. And we have 40 games left this season. So I don't know. At this point, we can't really afford to not have Jordan Miller. But when we get Derrick Jones Jr. back, and if we get Bogey back, that would be nice. But who knows what we're going to do at the trade deadline? We got to get rid of Bogey. It's obvious. There's no use for him anymore. It's Kobe Sanders and Jordan Miller now off the bench. He was not looking good even when he played. We had some good moments with him last year. But ultimately, his body didn't hold up. We got to try to get off that contract. That would be nice. Anyway, Jordan Miller in this game had 16 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, 1 block, and 1 turnover on 5 for 11 shooting, 0 for 2 from 3, and 6 for 8 from the free throw line, and was a game-high plus 19 in 28 minutes. Coming up, though, I'm going to talk about the other guys, Cam Christie, Ivica Zubac, Kris Dunn, and give an update on the status of Kawhi Leonard. I got to tell you a little something about TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150. All in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Hi. All right. Hi. What the hell? Anyway, Clippers win 110 to 106. We've now won 13 out of our last 15 games, which is insane. And here's the thing for those that are saying, "Ugh, what happened to what you were saying about blowing it up?" Listen, man, if we were trying to sell high right now, I wouldn't be against it either. But I always said, I never ruled us out for making the play-in. If you go back and listen, I never ruled us out for making the play-in, but I did rule us out for winning a series. So does it seem like we could maybe win a series now? Maybe. The thing is, as it stands, we're still nowhere near the 8th seed. Now, granted, Jimmy Butler did tear his ACL, unfortunately, which is very sad. Well wishes to him. And the Warriors are going to be in trouble going forward. And they're the 8th seed. If we can get the 8th seed and avoid OKC in the first round, then maybe we have a chance to win a series. And if we win a series, then I will say, good thing we didn't blow it up, because that's still very, you blow it up to eventually win a series again. So you don't want to be too privileged in terms of what you're seeing, because if you're in the big dance and you're able to win a series, it's a great experience for the franchise. Any franchise. I mean, you know how badly Charlotte Hornets fans want to win one series, or Sacramento Kings fans. So, we're a little bit more spoiled having the fact that we went to the conference finals just 5 years ago. But as a Clipper fans, we're not spoiled. I feel icky even saying that. So my point is this. My point is, do I believe we can make it out of the first round? As of now, no still. I think it's great that we've turned it around. I mean, our team was too good to be playing the way they were. I never said we can't make it to the play-in, because there was still so much season left. I just figured if we're a play-in exit, what's the point of keeping the team together? That's kind of what my stance was. But regardless, I'm going to support the guys wearing the uniform. And when I go to games, I'm going to be loud no matter what. So this team, I'm proud of the way they've bounced back. Was CP3 the issue? Maybe that deserves another episode in itself. But let's talk about some of the other guys in this game. John Collins came back, and I thought he was pretty good. Got in double figures in the points department, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover on 5 for 7 shooting, and 1 for 3 from downtown. I like that, especially in the second quarter. He had 6 of those 11 points. But it's just good to see John Collins back, that it wasn't too serious, because John has been so great for us this season. By the way, we outscored the Wizards 31-25 in the fourth to get the job done. How about Kris Dunn? Another solid game for him. Both ends of the floor. Double figure scoring, and when Kris Dunn scores in double figures, it's always a great sign for us. 10 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 turnovers on 3 for 6 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line in 39 minutes. Kris Dunn doing it on both ends of the floor. Gotta love it. And then you have Kobe Sanders. He had 8 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover on 3 for 11 shooting, and 2 for 5 from 3 in 22 minutes of play. Not the best shooting game for Kobe. He did make 2 big threes, though, and we needed that. I mean, he made 40% of our threes, and he shot 40% from 3, but the in-between game just wasn't really falling for him in this one. But again, a guy that's really helped us. I don't think he had a great defensive game, though, either. Got blown by a little bit too much on closeouts, but a guy that's really helped us get to this point. And then you have Nico, who just was, 1 for 4, and all his shots were threes, 3 rebounds, 1 dime, 1 steal, and a turnover. I mean, it wasn't a great Nico game. Cam Christie, not the greatest shooting game from him either, but I thought he did a good job defensively, one-on-one, contesting guys pretty well and leading to misses. He had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers on 1 for 5 shooting, 0 for 2 from 3, and made all 4 of his free throws. And then Big Zoo. I think it's a step in the right direction for Zoo. He's still not playing as well as I'd want him to play. He had his second straight double-double, and he had 3 straight games now with 11 or more rebounds. He had 14 points, 12 boards, 1 assist, and 1 block, but he turned the ball over 5 times. He did shoot 70%, though, but he's got to stop traveling so much. 7 for 10 from the field in 2 straight games. You love to see that. I think he should get the ball more still, but I also think he needs to be more assertive. And the turnovers, right? In the month of January, he's averaging 2 turnovers a game. It's a little much for your center. 2.3. It's a little much. And he's having very high turnover games. Like in the games that he is turning the ball over, he's had 4 plus turnovers 3 times this month. It's a little much. So that's maybe partially why we don't go to him in the post as much. But come on, he's averaging 15 and 11 on 61% shooting. Like, we could still use him a little bit more than we're using him. And when I go to Synergy, I'm going to check what his PP points per possession rating is for us because on post-ups, because it feels like it hasn't been as strong as previous years. You know, it feels like he's turned the ball over more. It feels like he's getting double teamed more, but looks and at times like our eye tests are very good, but we definitely want to see what the data says because it sometimes helps us. Right now, in terms of play type, and I look at Ivica Zubac's post-ups, the PP points per possession rating is good. It's in the 54th percentile for post-ups. It's good. We shoot 53% on possessions that we go through Ivica Zubac's post-ups. And then that doesn't only include his makes. That includes the, what's it called? Passes that he makes. We have a 13% turnover percentage, though. So 87% no turnover, 13% turnover. So maybe that's the weakness, but still. Post-ups that include passes for Zoo this season, he's been good based on Synergy's data. So if that's the truth, we should still look for him more. Now, in terms of Kawhi Leonard, so a good win. At the end of the day, we got to get any win we can. We're playing well right now. We got Chicago next. That'll be a good game, hopefully. But hopefully we win. Now, Kawhi is going to be out for the rest of the road trip due to left knee irritation. Now, we're going to be playing the Lakers on Thursday. I will not be there because I have my second to last school game. And it's after, so we should hopefully win against Chicago. And then against Brooklyn, I'll be there on Sunday. So we'll see if Kawhi plays against the Lakers. That would be concerning if he doesn't because, I mean, it's the Lakers. We always try to win those games. But knee irritation, I mean, listen, with Kawhi and knees, I really try to be, you know, what's the word? I tend to proceed with caution because we just never know when he's having a flare-up or something. And that's why I always was emphasizing sell high. But hopefully he's fine. So we'll see. But we still got to win against Chicago without him, and we'll see what we can do. We definitely got to play better than what we did against the Wizards. I mean, that was not good enough to beat a better team. So we'll see how it goes. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where I went live to react to the game and my Rams going to the NFC Championship. And, of course, you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Clippers, free and available wherever, and YouTube. Subscribe. Let's get to 9,000 subscribers next. And let's just look at the list. And by the way, the Everydayer Club, I'm really serious about this. How nice would it be to listen to this pod with no ads? And you get to communicate with me whenever you want to ask questions. I mean, that would be pretty cool because, you know, I know a lot of you guys are all over the country or all over the world. And, you know, you don't get to see me at these games and collab and you listen every single day and I wouldn't even know about it. So if you really are an everyday listener, be an everydayer and I can talk to you. But what was I going to look up? I was about to look up something. And I forgot. So I guess that is going to bring the show to a close today. Appreciate you all for listening, as always. And yeah, the age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.